Right, video Holden Frontera radiator change, but it's probably similar on a lot of other cars. A couple of reasons I had to change this is I thought it had a water leak, but now I'm under suspicion that it actually was partially blocked radiator core. It was sort of using water. I put engine stop leak in. It still used a little tiny bit of water, but nothing bad. But as soon as you went above like 105, 106 k's an hour, the temperature gauge would start going up, even though I just topped it up with water in that morning. So I had enough of that. So I wanted to get it changed. Also, when I was driving to work the other day, temperature started coming up at around 100. Only just on halfway. I mean, by coming up it goes normally just on 1/3, but it came up to about half. So I thought I'm going to bite the bullet, thinking that it was a leaky radiator, and get a new radiator. So went and got a new radiator. Pretty straightforward to get. So when I'll show you how to pull it out, but when I pull the radiator out, there's absolutely no signs of any leaks on it. I went right through it. There's no signs, no issues, no rust stains or any stains of water. So yeah, I'm pretty certain that this thing had a partial blockage in there somewhere. So I changed it out, and yeah, so I drove to work today, and yeah, no dramas above 100 and all that. Temperature didn't budge. It was on 1/3 and it sat there the whole time. So, which was really good. I didn't even really think about the partial block radiator scenario. I was really only thinking about the fact that it is using a bit of water and it was overheating. So, not overheating, but it went to halfway. So I'm assuming because it's blocked radiator, or partially blocked, the water was being actually vented out through here. I've still got to get a new cap for that yet. I haven't been able to find one. It's been a little bit tricky to find a new cap. So yeah, I reckon that's what was happening. As you went at a higher speed, the water it'd get the engine be spinning faster, it'd getting harder, hotter, working harder. And because it was partially blocked, it was probably pushing water out here. So the water was probably going into the overflow and then being vented out in time. So yeah, anyway, so it's pretty interesting. So yeah, if you go faster and your car starts to get a bit hotter and hotter, there's a good, and it's not just pouring water out obviously underneath and all that sort of stuff, that yeah, you've probably got a partially blocked radiator. So I'm guessing there's two options. You could use the radiator flush, which might work. That might be a good first option. They're only like 25 bucks. And I guess if it doesn't, if after you do a full radiator flush using that chemical, it might clear it out. It might not. I don't know. So anyway, a little bit of lesson for me, a little bit of lesson for people who's listening. So anyway, I'll stop dribbling. So I very simple. Like honestly, the radiator change is actually super duper simple. I bought new hoses for it while I was at it, because the old hoses were like paper thin on the underneath, especially on this hose wasn't too bad. This one here was just paper thin underneath, so I didn't realise how bad it was until I actually went, oh, okay. Because I bought spare hoses when I came up from Queensland to Darwin, just purely as a spare, because you can't exactly buy these hoses off the shelf at some local shop. So obviously, Carney's a bit cool. You can chuck your radiator flush in there. Follow the instructions as per the radiator flush chemical. So this was super easy. I took the battery out purely because it was easy to work on, easy to access some of the clips down there. But there's no real requirement to take the battery out. I did because it was a 1 minute job and it got it out of the way. So yeah, very simple. A couple of these bolts you can just undo a little bit, just enough so they this lifts up a little bit, and then you got the rubber which will just slide straight underneath, so you don't need to take these out. These are really tight. So those two, of course, you got little hose to disconnect there, under the radiator hose there, and then from under your car you undo the second radiator hose down there. You've also got a clamp that sits there, and that just holds the radiator hose in place. That's just a little 12 mil. And yeah, so you'll need to take the cowling off. These are really good with cowling. Just the bolt to take the cowling off there, and one on the other side, and then you've got the little clips down here. So these are like little clips. You just get a short screwdriver, flat tip, and just clip them out, and make sure you hold them as you pull them out, otherwise they'll go twing and they'll be gone and you'll never find them again. So yeah, and that takes the top half of the radiator. Oh, there's another set on the other side, by the way. That takes the top half of the cowling off, then you get it out of the way. And then you basically, after the radiator's drained and all that, of course, you can just pull the radiator up. Very simple, honestly. It's a minute job. Well, not a minute, 10-minute job once you drain everything. Also, what I did was I put the hose into here and left that pipe on and just flushed any coolant that was in the engine. I flushed all that out just by putting a hose, jam the hose in the end here into that hose, and then it would just go back out of the into the bucket underneath. Yeah, so really very, very simple process. So new hoses were put on, and basically you just slide the new radiator in its place. Just when you remove these, when you lift up the little bracket here, that they will just fall out, so make sure you keep track where they go. You can hold them in as you pull the radiator out. Yeah, so new radiator in, connect up your hoses, put the cowling back on, and then yeah, chuck some coolant in her, and once you've got the radiator full, then start the engine and let it come up to temperature, leaving the cap off, and let all the air bubbles come out. Try and get it on a bit of an angle, so this is the highest point. So my driveway is on a bit of a slope, so I reversed in, so that was the highest point, so I had a few air bubbles pop out. Once that's done, you just put the radiator cap on, go for a quick lap, and then the next morning check it, and you'll need to top it up a little bit. So I used the green fluid on this one, and that was fine. I believe the green's the right stuff for it, but whatever was in it, you just replace the same color. So it had red, use red, had green, use green. Yeah, so really there's not much more to say. It was actually a really simple job. So I just chucked the battery back in, and yeah, that was the end of that. Of course, try and, if you've got any crap on your condenser, give that a bit of a spray and clean while the radiator's out to get it out of the way. Yeah, so other than that, I've got really nothing else to say. Pretty straightforward job. Yeah, of course, if you've got an automatic, there's the, you won't be able to see it, but there's, you got the automatic transmission cooler inbuilt in the radiator. So there's two cooler pipes down underneath the radiator that you will need to disconnect. They are probably going to be full of surface rust and all that, so you might need to spray them with some penetrating or something like that, penetrating fluid, maybe the day before or something like that, or that evening or something. So yeah, okay, anyway, hope this was of use to somebody.